Hi, my name is Barry Doyle. I'm a lawyer in Chicago. What we're going to be talking about today is when you've had a case before. In other words, we're going to be talking about if you've had a case before, how does your earlier case affect your second? And there's two basic answers to that. One is a legal answer, the other is a practical answer. We're going to talk about both today. In the meantime, if you can hit share. The information I'm going to be giving out today is valuable information. It's something that lots and lots of truckers can use, and liking and sharing puts this information out into your social network where hopefully other people can benefit from it. The question today is you've had a case before, you've been in another accident, and you've got a second workers' comp case. How does that first case affect your second case? And there's two answers to that. One is a legal answer, the other is a practical answer, and we're going to talk about both. First one first, let's talk about the legal answer to this. Legally, the first case will affect the second one depends on whether or not you've hurt the same part of the body in the second accident that you hurt in your first. For example, if you hurt your knee in your first accident and you hurt your knee again in the second one, then there's going to be some legal effect to that. We'll talk about that in just a second. But if you hurt your knee in your first accident and then you break your arm in the second accident, those really are, separate cases, and legally the one shouldn't really affect the other. There's a practical impact, and that's something we'll talk about in just a second. But legally, those are things one shouldn't affect the other. So what happens when you hurt the same part of the body in two accidents? You have a fall 5 years ago and you hurt your knee, and then you have a fall a few weeks ago and you hurt your knee a second time. Well, what happens when you settle your first workers' comp case is your settlement is based on the percentage of loss of use of that body part. The Workers' Compensation Act assigns every part of the body a certain number of weeks' pay, and the amount of loss of use you have of that part of the body is the basis of your settlement, that and your average weekly wage. Let's just assume for the sake of argument that in your first accident, you settle your case for 20% of the loss of the use of leg. In theory, then, the legal fiction is that you're walking around then with only 80% of the leg. So then, if you hurt your leg in the second accident, and when everything is all said and done, you're deemed to have, let's say, 35% of the loss of the use of the leg, which is basically sort of a medical legal measurement, for lack of a better word, then in theory, your employer should get a credit for the 20% of loss of use that you already had. So after your second accident, you have 35% loss of use. You had 20 before. In theory, your employer should only have to pay for that 15% differential. In practice, it doesn't always work out that way, and it's one of these situations where having good legal advice is going to make a big difference in terms of the amount of the settlement that you're going to get when everything is all said and done. That's sort of the legal impact of having hurt the same part of the body a second time, is that your employer will get a credit for the amount of loss of use you had before your second accident. Now, if the two parts of the body are different, in theory it really shouldn't make any difference from a legal standpoint. It does make a difference from a practical standpoint, and that's the other impact that having had a earlier workers' compensation claim is going to make, in terms of your second accident. Now, insurance companies have what they call the Claim Index Bureau. So it doesn't matter which company you're driving for. When you make a claim with an insurance company, they report that into the Claim Index Bureau. And when you have another accident, what happens then is that first thing they do is they go to the Claim Index Bureau, they put in your name, your address, your date of birth, your social security number, and they pull the information that exists to show that you had a prior claim. Now, the fact that you had a prior claim doesn't necessarily mean that you're faking things or that you're exaggerating things, but insurance adjusters are the most cynical lot that you'll ever come across. And from their perspective, they're going to be looking at you from the standpoint of, hey, this is a guy who knows how to work the system. And that's how they think about things. They think, well, you know how to work the system. And therefore, any kind of extended disability you have, any kind of issue regarding your wages, any kind of issue, it's going to get an extra level of scrutiny. It's much more likely that you'll end up getting sent for an independent medical exam, which is not really an independent medical exam. It's much more likely that you're going to have problems as the case goes on. And a lot of times people don't bother getting legal help with a workers' comp case until they're really deep in the weeds. And experience says that the best way to deal with a problem is to make sure that you have good experienced legal help on board before there's a real problem. That's really where you want to be. So, the practical impact of having had an earlier workers' compensation case is that you're much more likely to have difficulty and scrutiny from the insurance company once you have a second one, because they're going to regard you as somebody who knows how to quote unquote game the system, somebody who knows how to work the system. You're going to be regarded as somebody who deserves a little bit more suspicion than if you'd never had a claim before. It's not right, it's not fair, but that's how it works. And we all have to sort of acknowledge the world that we're living in. So, two practical impacts: a legal one and a practical one. Either one of them, says that once you've had a prior claim, you're going to be well served by getting good legal help. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful information. If you think it has, hit like, hit share, so that this gets circulated in your social networks, so that other drivers who have had claims before can benefit from this kind of information. If you need more information, you can certainly message me through Facebook, or you can go to my website, www.rightsofinjuredtruckers.com, and complete the contact form, and we'll get in touch with you. That's www.rightsofinjuredtruckers.com. Or you can simply call the office. The office number is 312-263-1080. The call is free. There's no obligation to hire us. We look forward to having the opportunity to help members of the truck driving community. Hope this has been helpful. Stay safe on the roads. Take care. Bye-bye.